Hello, friends. It's time to look at our June of 2024 astrological preview. So let's dive right in. So, this is the time each year where we're shifting in the beginning of the month from Gemini season into the middle of the month where we're stepping into Cancer season. So, as we're doing that, let's look at what all is going on. So, in early June, on June 3rd, Mercury, the planet of communication and idea creation and thought formation, moves into Gemini, the sign that deals with the same facets. So, what that means is Mercury's coming home. Gemini is ruled by the planet of Mercury. And so on June 3rd, just know that if you're having new inspiration and new ideas, new thought patterns, new creative endeavors, new people kind of coming into your world. Gemini is also the sign of our social lives. Geminis, in particular, are very social butterflies. They're kind of flirty people. So Mercury's coming home early in the month. Then on the 6th, we have the new moon in Gemini, which is all about setting intentions around those same characteristics, getting out in the world, being more social, really setting intentions for new projects, new ideas, new inspirations that you might be feeling or that you might have thought about previously. The new moon early in the month is a wonderful time to kind of set those intentions. Then in the mid-month area of the 9th and the 11th, we're going to kind of focus on some Taurus energy. And here's why. Mars, the planet of action, is kind of playing catch up. We've been talking about this all year, but Mars is going to be moving into Taurus on June 9th. And so, what this means, if you reflect back last month as we were talking about Taurus energies, which are tied to our finances, the foundations of the homes that we live in, the foundations of our world. Our access to finances, our access to the homes that we choose to live in, the building of homes, the people in our world who feel like home. All of those things that we talked about last month with Taurus are getting an infusion of action energy through Mars, which is just now kind of setting into Taurus. So Mars is currently doing this dance with kind of playing the cleanup crew a little bit. So, where we might have had inspiration and ideas and thoughts about what we wanted to create in our home lives and our family lives, Mars kind of playing catch up means that there's this infusion of energy that allows us to actually put those thoughts into action. So, on the 9th, Mars is moving into Taurus. So, we're kind of getting um, that drive to really kind of pick up the pieces from last month. And then as Mars moves into Taurus on the 11th, it's going to form a square to Pluto. And this is important to note because Pluto is a powerful planet of transformation and change. Um, a square in astrology is kind of a friction point. It is almost like the hurdle you kind of have to cross over before that transformative energy feels positive or inspiring. And so, if we look at it from a mythological standpoint, we have Mars, the god of war, kind of hitting a friction point with Pluto, the god of death. And so that's not to cause any panic or concern, but it is to say that around the 11th of the month, just be aware of this friction point. It could be something having to do with the planet of action in the sign of Taurus, again, the foundations of our homes and our family lives coming into direct contact with a phase or a cycle that needs to happen um, to move us forward in interpersonal conflicts or maybe maybe you're in the process of buying a new home or finding a new place to live and there's a hiccup in the rental agreement or something having to do with the home life or the family life. It does not mean actual literal death. It just means the end of a cycle and the beginning of a new one. So come the 9th to the 11th of the month, just be on the lookout for how and where that might show up for you. Then on the 17th, Venus and Mercury both move into Cancer. So this is where we're talking about the new sign that we're stepping into. We're stepping out of Gemini season and into Cancer season. And Venus and Mercury moving in here is a beautiful entryway into this gorgeous sign. I love Cancer because it is the first water sign of the zodiac. It's also the sign that sits at the very bottom of the zodiac calendar or the zodiac wheel. And so it too is tied to the foundations around us, specifically the inner workings of our families and the friends that we keep that feel like family. It's also tied to the emotions. Cancer is where we get this first look in the zodiac year, the astrological calendar of all that we've walked through the first 3 months. Now we get to sift through some of what that all means for us. And so, what are the emotions that are rising up? How do we kind of pick up the pieces and turn ourselves inward to really reflect upon what that all means for us? The people who we keep close to us. What are some of the emotions that have risen up across the first 3.5 to 4 months of the astrological year? So, astrologically speaking, we're not talking about the calendar year, but we're looking at the emotions that have risen up and kind of maybe we've walked right past from March until now. So from March until the middle of June, what are the emotional pieces of what we might need to look at? That's what we're looking at here, really kind of mid-month and stepping into the third quarter of the month, when on the 20th, the sun joins the show and we are fully into Cancer season. And so when the sun joins, we're looking at our own needs as it pertains to the emotions that arise, as well as our own needs as they exist in our family lives, and the foundations of our world. So then on the 21st, we have a super cool full moon in Capricorn. So Cancer and Capricorn sit on opposite sides of the zodiac. So we have this idea of duality, right? We've just stepped into Cancer energy, and now we're being asked to look at Capricorn energy. And Capricorn is all about the doing in the zodiac. It's the workhorse of the zodiac. It's the to-do list. It's the structures that we create around ourselves to really get things done, to be task oriented, task focused, goal focused individuals. Capricorn is also the sign of our work lives. And so, what is it? This is what the full moon means when we're looking at a full moon in Capricorn, because it does sit opposite of Cancer, the emotional self, right? So, what is it that we need to let go of in order to make space for our emotions? What is it that we need to release in terms of the to-do list and the tasks and the things that might distract us from our emotions in order to actually allow those emotions to arise? So that's what this full moon is all about. However, next month we'll talk about an extra special second full moon in Capricorn, which is upcoming, which is where the phrase once in a blue moon comes from. A blue moon is any full moon that happens twice in a 30 or 31 day period in the same sign. So this year we have a blue moon situation in the sign of Capricorn. So we're really looking at what is it in our work worlds that we want to release and make space for our emotions, as well as some of the Leo side of things as we step into next month with this second full moon in Capricorn. So we have a lot to talk about next month with that second full moon. So just, stay tuned. And then on the 29th, Saturn turns retrograde in Pisces. This is not cause for concern, but it is a time, again, for us here at the end of the month to really take our foot off the gas on the to-do list, right? Saturn, again, is the workhorse of the zodiac. When it goes into retrograde, it's just a time for us to take to sit in more of a receptive zone than it is to actually take action. And Saturn being in Pisces is an interesting place for Saturn to be. Saturn doesn't really like a whole lot of, it doesn't really do well without boundaries and without distinction. And Pisces is such a deep sign of beauty that does not abide by boundaries or distinction. Pisces is the sign of our connection between this world and the next. It's this the it it's just this beautiful, beautiful energy, and Saturn does not feel at home there. And so, with it being retrograde, it's a time for us to kind of reflect upon how our to-do list needs to kind of take a back seat to feeling into our intuition and really owning that connection piece that sits outside of the physical. Um, it's less about, staying in any given lane and more about allowing ourselves the opportunity to feel outside of the physical form. What is my energy body? How do I even begin to connect with that? All of that stuff may come up for you um, here at the end of the month. So I wish you a wonderful Gemini and Cancer season, and we'll talk next month about the remainder of Cancer season and Leo season. So stay tuned. Have a good one. Bye for now.